Sorry.
We're singing again.
I know.
I think my life is always in a musical montage in my head.
Sing song?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're like
Do you have,
living
like,
a musical. I'm living like
This
Rocky.
clap monkey in my head. That's what I have.
Yeah.
Or like the cat that does this.
No, as soon as someone says something, I'm like, yeah, that's a lyric, and I'll just like finish it off in a thing. Yeah.
I'm
What about
learning
you?
all
Like,
new
you
things.
guys, you're not. What are you guys like? You said clap monk. What about you?
Like on a day to day.
Yeah.
I feel like I live in like a music video, so when I hear a song I just see myself going through that song like in the music video. I think my dream was to be like in an above and beyond music video and like live my life like in a car on the coast, like singing about a love lost, you know,
and then just being free.
Yeah.
And like
being free.
Yeah.
I've always really resonated, like my favorite band is Blink-182, so I've probably resonate a lot with like what people would maybe call like punk or emo-y songs, and they tend to be kind of like, I don't want to say dark and disturbed, but like a little bit saddish.
Yeah.
And so it's just that inner turmoil, and I feel so deep and profound. And speaking of which, we're talking about anxiety today.
And
What
that's
an
the
intro.
Combating gym anxiety.
Yeah.
What to do? Is it normal? Have you experienced it?
100%.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Definitely do. And the more I think about it, it really, at least for me personally, comes down to my confidence level in what I'm doing. When I've done something for long enough, you get more confident. I remember going to the gym at 2 a.m. because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't want anyone to see me doing what I didn't know what I was doing. But the more you do it, you're like, okay, I feel better at this. Like we spoke about, you know, sticking to a certain training block because you're learning a new skill. Going into any new kind of movement, of course, I'm still self-conscious. Going into a boxing gym, I'm going to be self-conscious. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I went to this breathwork place, and I've always really struggled with like meditation and just being still in myself. So, you know, we're all like lying down in this room like this. Everyone's with their eyes closed and everyone's breathing, and I'm like, am I doing this right? Like, I'm like,
Can I breathe? How do you breathe? Yeah.
Needless to say, it's absolutely normal, and often comes down to it just being something new or something that it's early days.
Yeah. If I go back, like way back to my gym story, I'm from a small town, right? So in our small town, we had about 2 gyms. And when I was in school, everyone from school would go to either or the gym. So there was only 2 options. And in my head, I was like, there's no way I'm going to this gym. Everyone from school's there, and I was quite a shy person. Not so shy anymore. Different story. But in my head, I was thinking, no way I'll ever step foot in there. I was way too self-conscious. I was thinking all the people would judge me, and what if I do something wrong, and then they're going to talk about it in school and all those things. So I would never, ever, ever step a foot into the gym. My gym journey hasn't started until I moved to Australia. Now, different story. I'll be like, yes, sign me up. Where are we going? Who's going? But back then, yeah, that was like super, super self-conscious. And then when I first started in a gym as well, even in Australia where I didn't know anyone, I would go with my friend, and we would go about like 1 p.m. because it was like unstaffed. It was a 24/7 gym, but I used to work before and after school hours. So during school hours, I was free, but then the gym would be quite busy as well. So I would wait until about 1 p.m.-ish because I knew the staff were going on break, because I was even too scared to meet the PTs that were there to help you, because I was thinking they're going to judge me on poor form, and I didn't want them to start talking to me because I couldn't handle how they would talk to me. It's so crazy to think about now. But yeah, I would go exactly then when there's no one else in the gym, and that I would feel halfly comfortable. I would do my few little things there, and then I would jump on a treadmill because that's an easy one to use. That's normal. You know how to use that. And that was my fitness journey for a long time until I like upskilled and learned about stuff and got a coach and whatnot. But it's so funny talking about anxiety in general, because I was obviously born in Germany, and in Germany we don't have a translation or a name for anxiety. It translates into being nervous. and that's all. So all my life I was like, yeah, I'm nervous. Like I can feel things and I'm nervous and I do things and I might be scared. But the label that people over here use with anxiety didn't exist, because you can't put a label on someone being like, oh yeah, it's just a nervous person. It doesn't sound as dramatic as saying someone is like anxious or an anxious person, or they have anxiety, which is really interesting.
Do you think culturally that you're not really not allowed, but it's unheard of that you would allow something to have that kind of effect on you? Like you're supposed to just get your head down and charge through it. Do you reckon?
I think it's a very German way of thinking, very efficient.
Yeah.
You don't have sicknesses, you don't have illnesses, you don't do that, you push through, you're strong-minded, strong-willed. It's definitely like a culture thing. I think mental health has risen in like a topic over the last few years. So because I've left years ago, I don't really know the conversation going on there now. But it would have never been a topic. Even seeing a psychologist or anything like that would be so like, oh God, what's wrong with you? Like you must be really ill and sick. Where I totally do not agree with this now. I'd be like, yeah, go see a psychologist. Like please do. Can everyone go? Like you should. But yeah, back there, I think the German culture, and it might have changed now, but as I said, I like left ages ago, and when you go on holiday you have a different view and outlook on things. But it was definitely something very taboo, and why are you nervous? Like you shouldn't be nervous. Like just get it over and done with. Like come on, move on with life.
When we went to Germany last year, and whenever I visit somewhere, I like to just explore, like, you know, have no end destination, just want to look at things. I'll go into shops and whatnot. And I remember going into just a clothing shop, and like someone greeted me, and it's a global well-known shop, so I'm sure they have like processes and things that they should do globally, and they came up to offer help, but it was just like, hello, how are you? I was like, I'm fine. But it was just, you could tell that they were having a really bad day, but there was still like, there was no inflection. Like, in fact, their inflection was that they were having a bad day, but they were like, hello, how are you? And I was like, I'm fine. They're like, do you need any help? And it was almost just like, are you okay? Like, do you, like, it was just like tick, 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 tick. And it was such a weird, not weird, but it was like a different, like, because you're so used to just like people being happier, and like even if they're having a crap day, like you just set all that aside and you're just like, I'm gonna like look happy. And for those guys it was just like efficiency, like, do you need my help? What do you need help with? What's the size? No. And the whole time it was like really quite.
I think it's super interesting because Australia is completely the opposite. Like if you go to a shop there, they're like, hey, how are you? And then you're like, good, how are you? And then no one responds because it's just like, it's just what we do here. And in America as well, everyone is like super friendly and super nice and offer help. And I don't think it's the same in Germany.
Or they'll be open to saying like, I'm having a crappy day, but that's okay. Like I'm nearly like, you know, there's a bit more openness to like emotion. Whereas over there it was just like bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, very procedures driven.
Often attention, sorry.
But when it comes to gym anxiety, taking it back, have you guys experienced that?
Oh, absolutely. As I mentioned, I used to train at 2 a.m. when I first started the reason I became, or technically got licensed as a PT, was because I wanted to know what the hell I was doing. Same. I took the coursework, I bought the book, I did all that stuff to teach myself so I would feel more confident in training and understanding movement.
Isn't that funny? Because I was exactly the same, and I rather went and did a course than asking anyone for help. Mind blowing.
I'm the same, but I think all the courses that I have done in my career, it's literally just been because I want to know how to do that better. I don't want to have to ask someone. I would rather just sit down, read a book, and not really like maybe show that vulnerability that I don't know. But in terms of like circling back on anxiety, I feel like there's some sort of anxious feeling every day, whether it be I'm not feeling optimal in energy, like am I going to be able to do my program, or I'm feeling super bloaty, like I had 10 loaves of gluten, now I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to like feel disgusting. I think it's always there, but the one that I tend to have is that we touched base on it in a different episode. It was that because you're a professional in the industry, and this industry has a perception of how people within the industry should look, I'm always like battling with that anxiety. Like, do I look lean enough? Do I look like I you know? And it's like, who cares? But then on the other side of that is also the strength component. It's like, am I lifting as much as I possibly can? Like, am I like, you know, turning heads to it? Like, I don't want attention, but I want a head turn with the numbers that I'm lifting. I want to show that I can lift like pound for pound heavier than any guy in this room. It's such a
Interesting.
yeah.
That resonates so much because a lot of the reason I did the course and didn't actually do, you know, personal training for so long was because I didn't think I was fit enough. It's like, who would want to take advice from me? And I, to be honest, even after so many years, sometimes I still feel that way. It's still, you know, little bits of it will come back, and I'm like, who am I? You know, I'm not fit enough, or can't run fast enough, or, you know, can't lift heavy enough, or, and it ultimately comes back to ourselves. It comes back to this idea of what we think. It's all of our shoulding. It's all the things we should do, should be, and all of this, and it's so natural. And I like that we're having the conversation, because I have a feeling, at least I did, feeling like it's only you, that only you're nervous. But how funny is it to think that when you walk into a gym and you're super duper nervous, or walking into any setting and you're very nervous, not every person, but like, just imagine every person's having that exact same thought, or exact
and
same
they all
feeling.
have been through that. Only on Monday, when I listened to you and Casey film your class, I was sitting down and, who am I to teach a powerlifting class? Why am I here? Who on earth thought that I should be teaching a powerlifting class, like listening to you guys, where it's also like inspiration, and like I can actually learn something from there and like apply that again. But it's so funny how this like whole I'm not good enough mentality always comes back. And then even training this morning, I know you were going to be there, but it's a different gym, different environment, and you get a little bit nervous, and you walk in, you're like, oh my god, what am I going to do? Where are all the things? And it's gotten a whole lot better for me now, but there's scenarios, and I think there will always be scenarios where you're a bit uncomfortable and a bit more nervous and feeling that anxiety creeping back in. And for me, it's always before going for a PB as well, because I don't want to fail. And I'm like so attached, like, I don't want to fail, I can do this. And then I did a bench press a couple of weeks ago, and I had done this weight before, but I wasn't feeling 100%. And the program said go for 60 kilo. I'm like, oh, if the program says I'm going to go for 60 kilo, I'm going to go for 60 kilo, because I don't like overshooting and like under delivering my efforts. I wasn't feeling 100%. The first warm-up already felt heavy. I should not have gone for it. I did go for it anyway. And then this really, really nice gentle giant came up to me, and I was stuck under my bar, and he looks at me. He's like, do you want help? And I was just looking up, and I'm like, yes, please. Yes, please. So he took the bar off. He was really nice and kind about it. And it was the first time that I was in like a commercial gym where actually someone came up to me and helped me out of the bar. Like, I have felt my bench press 100 times. I should have learned by now, but I haven't. I should just get a spotter. But it was the first time where I was in a gym and like, I actually feel so comfortable now that I failed it. I'm not embarrassed, a little bit, but someone actually helped and it felt good. I now know that if it happens again, I can just go up to someone and ask for help before it happens. But even like going for a PB, I always have that anxious feeling because I don't want to fail.
I have a similar anxiety in terms of training. So because I train at two different facilities. So one is I've just got to do some stuff before work, good for my mental health. If I don't do it, everything else goes down the drain for the rest of the day. And then in 2 days of the week, in the evening, I'll go to an Olympic lifting gym and do the thing. Sometimes I don't have enough time to do everything that's in my program, so I'll use the following morning to finish it off. But if there's any because of the gym that I go to before work is more of like the Globo, everyone's there doing more traditional bodybuilding type workouts, and it's so busy in there. I hate Olympic lifting in there unless it's my clean and jerk, because I'm very confident with my clean and jerk. Because my snatch, I have a mental barrier because I have been injured twice under the guidance of two completely different coaches. I have this almost lack of self-confidence makes me feel like a fraud, and I don't want to look like I don't know what I'm doing, or like I don't want it to ever not look perfect. And so I never do any of my snatch work in that gym. And sometimes Tao, my partner, he'll say like, what, like, who cares? Like, these guys don't even know what bad looks like. They're just going to see you do this thing that nobody else does here, and they're just going to think, oh my God, this is amazing. And then that adds another layer of just like, oh my gosh, now everyone's going to start looking at me. I just want to find the corner in the whole entire gym and just hide from everyone. And it's self-sabotage. It's just like anxiety stacking almost. Like, you know how you have value stacking and habit stacking? I feel like I'm anxiety stacking. It's like,
on top.
I don't want to do it in front of people that don't even know what it looks like. And now like, everyone's going to look at me. Everyone's going to see that. Like, I do it wrong, but nobody knows. But how would they know? It's like, just like, how much worse can I make it in my own head? Yeah. That's just every day. It's just like you are your own worst enemy.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think even this morning when I went to the gym, I was like, oh, my squats have to be extra deep today. I don't want to be judged for having a shitty squat and having shit depth. Everyone around me is so good. But at the same time, I also really enjoy going to a gym where people are better than me, because I'm that competitive. And I'm like, ooh, if they are lifting this, I want to be inspired, and I use that as inspiration. And I want to lift heavier and I want to do better. But it's a fine line. Like,
yeah. No, I have that same thing as well. Like, even though at the gym before my work, like, people don't, you know, they don't move, like, as far as, like, textbook technique is concerned. They're at whatever stage in their training journey, and they just, form's not looking great. That's a completely different topic. I don't want to dig into that. But if I see the guy in the squat right next to me put my weights on, and then it just looks really, really bad. There's this part of me that's like, I'm not supposed to go any heavier, but I just kind of want to have this like thing to prove. And if I don't go heavier, then it's kind of like, who am I? Like, I just, you know, I don't want to be like perceived as a wimp. It's just, once again, anxiety stacking.
These are all self-imposed things we're doing to ourselves. And I know we're all speaking openly about it, but I imagine we're not the only ones in the world doing that. And a lot of it's coming down to what I'm hearing is, you know, new places, new scenarios. And it's just, it's so natural. I remember again, during like the pandemic, I stopped training for a while. I actually went to San Diego, moved to different cities, even went to Vegas, started at a new gym. And again, lifting, I knew what I was doing to, you know, some extent. Don't think I'm the best, but I have a general grasp of how to navigate a gym. You still get nervous. You know, new people, new environment is, you know, what's going to happen? What's going to pop out of that corner? It's this fear of the unknown. And then moving to LA and going to another gym, I remember walking in there, and one of my T's and C's was, I need to bring a Trainer Plus in there with me to have. And it's still nervous. I'm like, no one else here knows what this machine is, but I'm still nervous to be looked at and thought of as like, what is that person doing? Are they weird? Or
That's funny, actually, because the session that I did at SBC this week, you know how Casey has all the toys. Yeah. Like, you see the online catalog for gym equipment and gym accessories. He literally has every single one. And I remember walking in and having a look. I just had to do like wide grip seated row, and I was like looking at, I was like, I don't want to pick up the basic handle. I want to pick up the handle that probably no one really knows like how to use, because I need to look like I know my shit. Even some of the machines, I was like, oh yeah, I haven't used it before because I don't have it. I was like, but I need to look like I know what I'm doing. Like, I need to know. Yeah, I need to know how to like change the pins, or like, you know, even.
So basically a fraud.
Yeah, I was like, I need to know, like, I need to look like I know everything, and I need to know how to use this thing. Anyway.
I just don't even know if you're talking about his equipment or the trainer. I don't know what you're talking about.
I think the only way to overcome the nervousness or the anxiety or whatever label we want to give it is by doing it more. And constantly putting yourself out there, trying new things, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, and it will get better. And some of the things that I give like clients or new people, I'm like, just start in your corner. We call it the shy girl corner, shy boy, whatever. Start in the corner, and then eventually you feel like, hey, I want to try this. I've seen this. I'm going to go out there now. I want to go under the barbell. And it's like one of my favorite things with clients when they get so nervous coming in, and then you can just see when they get more excited, and then the nervousness changes to excitement, because technically in our brain they're the same thing anyway. So one of my strategies when I get super, super nervous is telling myself I'm actually really excited. So when I have to do like a speech, taking it away from gym stuff now, if I have to show up for like an important meeting, instead of telling myself, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous, like I'm so scared, I'm actually really excited for this opportunity. And if you watch this on YouTube, you can see how you can say, I'm so nervous, I'm excited. Like it changes so much. So you can really trick yourself. And maybe you're not excited to go to the gym, that's okay. But just tell yourself, like fake it a little bit, because the confidence will build. And I think half of the time we're anxious because we're lacking confidence. So if we are getting help and we overcome that little hurdle of actually asking for help, which we all three haven't really done. We rather went off and read textbooks. But overcoming, if the first step is asking for help, asking for advice, learning things, building that confidence, because as you gain the confidence and you're changing location and you're trying new areas or new gyms or wherever you're going to go, you then know deep down that you sort of know what you're talking about, and you just need that little bit of reassurance or self-assurance on that feeling of, hey, I know what I'm talking about. I'm not the best. I still have heaps to learn, but just that little bit of more excited and getting yourself out there will help with overcoming anxiety.
I love that. It's the intention behind it, because you're absolutely right. The reason we feel so anxious is because we're not super confident in whatever it is that we're going to do.
Yeah.
But even the intention of wanting to be better at it or taking a step to be better is slightly alleviating. Even if, again, we're not experts, we're not the best, still a little bit nervous but excited. You know, it takes a little bit of the edge off, knowing that, hey, I'm doing my due diligence, I'm trying my best to understand and do right.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny? Because I was thinking, what's a similar, similar context of that whole entire, like, I'm just new to this, and I need to be accepting that I'm going through a journey of learning.
I'm a learner.
Yeah. And I think it's like, if you think about, like, at work, someone says to you, hey, I want you to start, using this software. You're not gonna sit there and gonna be like, okay, sweet, I'm just gonna go for it. You'd say, like, I'm new to this, I need to learn the ropes, I need to, do it a couple of times and then I'll be fine. People don't say the same things to themselves when they're in the gym. They're just like, I need to go in and I need to, like,
starting a new job.
Yeah.
I remember even, like, in when I was still in school and I had, like, a front desk job and, like, learning a new stuff, like, it wasn't that it was challenging and I wasn't capable of doing it. It was just something new, and I hadn't navigated that specific platform before. And the first few times, like, oh my gosh, am I gonna click this button right? Like,
But you would ask
so
for
scary.
so much help.
Yeah.
You would be like, hey, just before I do this, do you mind just double checking that I, before I, like, really seal this off? Like, people, you got to do that in the gym as well. Like, look, hey, I'm just learning. It's just so funny. It's literally the same scenario, but in a different environment.
And asking for help is so important. And you will find that usually people around you are really, really happy to help. I'm the happiest person if someone asks me for help. I'm like, of course I can help you. The other day, a girl asked me to show her how to put her ankle strap on. I'm like, heck yeah, 100%. Good on you for asking as well. Like, I'm so proud of you for doing that, because I definitely didn't. I would be running away and finding a different exercise to do.
I like to say that I'd be the, I would do the same thing, because I would. But I wonder if, like, I'm not really 100% approachable, because, like, when I'm in the gym, I have, like, I think I have maybe resting bitch face on. And that's just because I don't want anyone to talk to me. Not because, like, I don't want anyone to talk to me, but it's more like I'm just, like, in here, like, dealing with my own personal anxieties. I'm just like, you know, laser focused. I'm just trying to get through the whole entire thing. And that might be like maybe interpreted as like, this chick does not want anyone to like ask her anything, or like, you know what I mean?
Well, I think the reality is we're all speaking a similar thing. We don't really know what anyone else is thinking, and we're building more anxiety by assuming what other people are thinking,
Yes.
that everyone's watching us and they're analyzing and they saw me do this, and
Yeah.
and no one's paying attention because they're so preoccupied with what they're doing. Because in the same vein where it's like, I've done that. I've worn a hat to the gym. I had the big headphones, and it's not that I don't want people to talk to me. It's I'm afraid of everyone around me, and it's my defense mechanism where it's like, when I'm dressed like this, no one can see me. It's like I'm hiding.
I'm invisible.
And it's like I'm trying to hide just as much as it may seem to someone else that I'm trying to avoid, when it's not that at all. Because as soon as someone tries to speak to you, I'm like, hello, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so funny.
Not making assumptions is a really good point as well, because that is what you said before, like you're building that anxiety on top of anxiety, and then you're making more assumptions, and then you're creating that spiral. So building the confidence, not making assumptions, asking for help, acknowledging that everyone started somewhere and you're not the only one. We're all going through similar journeys. If we all do it, there's definitely a lot more people that go through the same thing. So being really open and honest can also help, because as soon as you open up, you realize, hey, I'm actually not alone. You've done this, you've done this, I've done this, similar. And I think that's a really important point as well in overcoming general anxiety, but also gym anxiety.